Hi, I'm Nicole Sanders, and this is my teacher toolbox. So the first technology that I want to share here is Kami. I can confidently say that I've used Kami every day during remote learning. It's an online portal that transforms any document into an interactive tool for students. So I mostly will post PDFs or Word documents, and it will change it to a PDF for the students and allow them to choose from a variety of tools to mark up their document. So they can highlight it, they can insert a text box in if they want to type, they can insert shapes, they can even do some text to speech. Really, there's a ton of different options that they can use. As a teacher that primarily teaches self-contained math, it's been really nice for notes, homework, quizzes. I've really used it, like I said, every day. So the students can take notes directly on the PDF, and they can even write on their screen if they need to. And it's great for highlighting. They can, do that text to speech if they need to remember something from their notes. So it's a really great tool for that. It also works with Google Classroom, which is primarily what our district uses, but it also says it works with Canvas and Schoology, which I'm assuming other districts use a little bit more, so that you can assign and interact with everything in one spot. So I will assign or post the notes and homework through Google Classroom and pick them from my Google Drive. So everything's all through the Kami website, but it talks to your Google account. And I can also interact with the document by simply clicking on it. So I can see if a student's writing down their notes. I can even make notes on there as they go if they need to. It's similar to a Google Doc in that way. So it's really allowed for online learning to continue seamlessly. And it's a nice level of collaboration because it's an easy way for me to make sure that students at home are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I could definitely see using this in the future. But like I said, I use it primarily for notes, homework, and quizzes. They turn that in through there, and I can still see where they're at with that. And I really find it easy to assign because it already works with Google Classroom. So on here, I linked the website to Kami, as well as the YouTube video. The YouTube video will just kind of walk through the different levels of Kami and the different things you can use to apply it. My second tool is quizzes. This is probably the second most thing that I use in my classroom, especially during virtual learning. It's an interactive game platform that allows for student-paced formative assessments. The student-paced part of it is really the best part of it for me. So it's a game-like feature, but students can go at their own pace. There's not really you can set a time limit, but they don't feel the rush like they do with a Kahoot or something like that. I felt with working with primarily with students with special needs, they were just clicking an answer because they didn't want to look like they were taking too long. So quizzes gives them the opportunity to kind of work at their own pace. And I always tell my students, the person that's going to win is not necessarily the person that's the fastest. So that's kind of a cool element to that. So you can either create your own assessment from scratch, or you can choose from a library of assessments that are already made, which is really nice. So if there's a certain topic that I'm teaching, I can type in writing equations of lines, and a bunch of different options will come up, and I can go in and either just use that, or you can even edit that one to be able to kind of meet the needs of your students. So it's nice to have some things already made, so that you can easily assess your students without having to put a ton of work into it. Or if you want a quick assessment, you have more time, there's already things made for there. You also receive a report after the quiz that helps teachers gauge how they're doing. So you see how obviously which ones they got correct and which ones they didn't, and then how many of each student got one correct. It will highlight the ones that a lot of students got incorrect, and you can go over those questions afterwards with the students. So, I usually go over the ones that more students got wrong than that. But the report is, I can either share it with the students, or I can look at it through myself. You can play the live interactive game using a code. So again, that's similar to Kahoot. Or you can have them answer the questions at their own pace asynchronously. So you can assign a game, and the students, it's very similar. Like they'll answer the questions and you still get that same report. They're just not doing it as a game. So that was nice in remote learning because I can even assign that as homework, and it adds a little bit of spice to it. And then it also tells you in that teacher report how long the students took, or how long they took on each question. So it's a good way for me to kind of assess how they're doing. And again, that library of options really makes it easy. I also found that quizzes is friendly to any math type. What I mean by that is I can put in a fraction or I can put in an exponent very easily, where I found that a lot of these game-like features don't have that. And while it seems like it wouldn't be a big deal, it's nice for students to see the math type the way they were taught instead of seeing like a little caret for an exponent, for example. So anything that's more conducive to math is obviously something that I've been gravitating towards. But it's great. It's game like. They get memes. They're pre-made memes throughout every question. They like that. They can use power-ups. Like you can eliminate half the questions, or they get more time on each question, or you can freeze time. It's just a really cool way to assess the students. So I linked the website here, and then an article on quizzes versus Kahoot. So quizzes and Kahoot are actually really similar. Like I said, it's mostly like the timing piece. So this is a really good article on the similarities and differences, from everything from the engagement to the reports you receive and all that. So it's a nice way to kind of understand the difference between the two. And I felt like that really hit home why quizzes was a great tool. My third tool is Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is an online platform that keeps students engaged and accountable while watching videos. So I will upload, for the most part, I upload a video that I've already recorded. So I'll usually use Screencastify, and I'll upload a video to Edpuzzle. And then once you've uploaded that video, you can add a bunch of different elements to that video. So you can add like guiding questions throughout the video. You can add like stop and think questions. They can be open-ended. They can be multiple choice. You can literally just put a comment in, like, this is where you should stop and take notes. Like you can put really anything in there that you see fit. You can also browse YouTube and actually just upload one of those videos as well. So if it's not something that you created and you want students to watch it, but you again want that level of engagement and comprehension questions, you can upload just a video from YouTube too. Like I said, I primarily use videos that I uploaded that will be me teaching a lesson, but I found that Edpuzzle just makes it so much easier for me to see how the students are doing. So while students are watching the video, the teachers get a dashboard displayed that shows how much they've watched and how long they're at each section. So it's been very nice during remote learning because I can see when students are watching, and if they've like been idle for a little bit, you can check in with them. And I can see just how much the students have watched as they go. The other nice part is as you're watching the video, if they go to a different tab, it automatically pauses it. So if they're trying to do something else, it will pause the video. If it's on a question, it's already paused, but it's a nice other kind of level of accountability. But I found overall that this is just a way, when I assign a video, this is just a way better way to kind of keep track of how the students are doing and kind of, again, put those stop and think questions in. So you get that level of assessment or just kind of some check-in points for them. And at the end, I usually do a couple comprehension questions as well, to make sure they got to the end. But the ability to kind of see how long they've watched the video and if they're, taking too much time at one part is really nice for checking in with students. And I think that videos are a great tool because students are able, specifically in math, they're able to like pause if they're struggling with something and ask a question, or They're able to rewind. You can't usually fast forward on Edpuzzle, but I think those two features are nice because students can kind of teach at their own or work at their own pace while I'm still teaching a lesson. So overall, it's really great for keeping them accountable and those comprehension checks. So I've linked the website here along with an article. The article just talks about basically why you should record lessons and integrate them through Edpuzzle. So it's a nice kind of plug for why videos are sometimes nice and recording and giving students feedback using Edpuzzle. So it's a good article to kind of see what Edpuzzle has to offer. My next tool is Desmos. Desmos is primarily for math. I haven't really seen a use that's not for math teachers, but it's still a really cool tool to be able to use in your classes. So it's online interactive math tool. One of the most frequent uses I have for it is its calculators. So they have both a scientific calculator and a graphing calculator. The graphing calculators are over $100. So it was difficult to have students buy those this year. So Desmos actually has their own graphing calculator on there that will do equations and graph for them. And they also have a scientific calculator, which is just your regular run-of-the-mill calculator. So that's been a nice option for students to be able to use, especially during remote learning when some of them can't go buy a calculator right now. It also has a variety of activities that are assigned to students that allow them to practice their math skills in a very unique way. So they're created by other teachers and they allow them to practice a bunch of different skills with kind of more real life situations. So again, it's something where you could type in the topic that you're currently teaching and a bunch of activities will come up and their activities are laid out really, really easily for the teacher to follow. So I've really found that it's nice. Like it will show you what the teacher or the student's screen looks like. It will show you exactly what to say. It'll give some like warm-up activities. It's actually really nice for that. And students get the chance to collaborate with each other because they can see their classmates' work and comment on it. So I haven't personally used this feature, but there is a feature where they can kind of work together and comment on each other's work. Like your graph is a negative when it's supposed to be a positive and so forth. And they can also team up together to complete challenges using a code. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can use these activities. And the teacher dashboard allows you to see their answers in real time. So you can see all their graphs kind of lined up together if you were doing a graphing activity. Most of these are graphing related. And then kind of use that check for understanding and you as a teacher can comment on it if need be. But it's really a cool tool for that. There's a video on kind of everything Desmos has to offer, and then I thought it would be good to show an example activity. So this activity specifically is turtle time trial. So this would be something if you're doing equations, but this is what you would see if you were looking for an activity. It will show you what its kind of purpose is, and then it will show you, you can see the student preview, which I found is really nice because a lot of times with these technology tools, you can't see the preview of like what they see. So you have to kind of just do it and see what happens. And then these are the screens that will kind of come up and they will see to kind of talk about their skills. So again, this is nice because it's turtle races, but they're still working on linear functions and having to show what they know in a different way. And as a special ed teacher, they usually have accessibility notes, so it's not very screen reader friendly. So a visually impaired student would need a more sighted classmate. So all very nice, but this is what those activities look like. Very easy to follow. And there's a teacher guide. So basically like, this is how I would use it. And obviously you don't have to follow that, but it's nice to kind of practice with activities that are already made. And again, the calculator is a really nice tool and something I use probably a little bit more frequently with the students. And then my last one is Pear Deck. So Pear Deck allows for teachers to take presentations and make them more interactive for students. I will say I specifically use Pear Deck a lot with Google Slides. because it's an add-on on Google Slides. So you can go, it just literally in Google Slides, it will say, Pear Deck, and then a bunch of different stuff will come up. So you can do interactive questions or quick formative assessments, and you can just add them straight to your Google Slides. So the nice part is you can take a presentation you've already made, basically, and add some of these levels of interactiveness. So it might be like a quick 4-question multiple choice. It might be like a true or false. It's even anything from like that to assessing students' understanding on a scale. So I've done like between a 1 and a 5, how are you feeling on this topic? And it'll do a scale for them. Their students can draw on it, so you can do some kind of checks for understanding and draw what you think this means, or display their answers in different ways. And the teachers can also record audio in any of the slides for directions or feedback. And then again, that has that teacher dashboard to see how students are answering the questions and giving feedback. I will say something else that's nice about Pear Deck is if you do some of these interactive tools, it usually has a student's name. Pear Deck doesn't. So if I say like, answer these multiple choice questions, it will just tell me how many students got this answer as opposed to this answer, as opposed to this answer, which I found the students like. I don't think they always like having their name kind of pop up when they get things wrong. So it adds that nice level of anonymity that some students really, really need. So, but overall, Pear Deck is a great add-on to that. They also have some really fun interactive vocabulary where one student might draw the word, the other student has to guess it. There's just a lot of interactiveness that you can take a presentation and just kind of vamp it up. So I've linked the website, and then the how-to handbook is the other link. So you just download it, and it's basically everything you could possibly need on getting started with Pear Deck. So a ton of information, anything that you could possibly need can just be downloaded straight off their website. But other than that, here are my resources. I will say all of these tools are excellent for math, specifically remote learning, but can also be catered to any subject. So thank you for watching.